They are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
And from the border of liberty and prosperity and the highway to the north, this is Safety Wars for Thursday, July 20th, 2023. How's everybody doing out there tonight? So tomorrow night, I'm going to get this out of the way real quick. Tomorrow night, we're going to have a pre-recorded program featuring... Let's see if I can do... Let's see if this will work. 2 nights in a row. Hold on. We're going to have Gavin Coyle here. Tomorrow night, we did an interview a couple of weeks ago with him. He's promoting his new book, Workplace Safety on a Budget, which is for free on Amazon Kindle. We go, hey, it's not Safety Wars unless we go all over the place. Right? So, that's going to be your pre-recorded interview. Tune in, obviously, and we are on TuneIn. How's that? We're not live on TuneIn, but we are, podcast is there and on iHeart. You easily got onto those. Plus our regular streaming services here. Pay us a visit. I tell you what, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and share every one of these. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. Just like and share us. It helps. Makes me feel warm and fuzzy at a minimum. At a maximum, it gets us more exposure, and we will continue to fight that safety war with everybody here. Anyway, a lot of news going on out there, and I'm going to go because I forget to do this often. No, it's our nightly message here for everybody. This is Safety Wars, broadcasting to our brothers and sisters in the occupied territory of behavior-based safety. Get out your secret decoder ring. Here is your nightly message.
Context drives behavior. Context drives behavior.
That's right. Context drives behavior. Learn what the context of your accidents and incidents are, and of your learning team, whatever you're out there doing, and consider that. Nothing is ever cut and dry in this field. Well, what else do we have here? A lot going on tonight. 54 years ago, right? 50, and I know I'm going to get comments on this, but 54 years ago today was the moonwalk, the first moonwalk. On July 16th, 1969, the spacecraft Apollo 11 prepared to launch a crew of 3 astronauts into space in the history books. So they landed 54 years ago tonight, or this afternoon, I should say. And again, something, I tell you what, the guys had stones the size of a planet out there to go and do this. It's incredible. Out there, and it still inspires people till today. I know in my generation, everybody wanted to be an astronaut. Now, in today's generation, they doubt that this ever occurred. Well, Jim, that's not fair. Well, yeah, it is fair. I hear it all the time. It's the same people who think that the World Trade Center building was disintegrated by a particle beam weapon. Right? And all that conspiracy. I mean, people got all upset with me back at the time. I said, look, and then you explained to people and everything else, blah, 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 blah. Unbelievable. Now, today, and I will cover politics here, presidential politics. We'll probably do more. I'm thinking about another podcast dedicated to the presidential race. with today said Senator Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Had testimony in front of the Congress. I'm going to share it on my Facebook page here. Something really important that he mentioned: shadow banning, cancel culture. I don't know if he really mentioned that for sure in those words, but basically how we are being manipulated. And as we know, you're part of the safety war is being manipulated. We're all being manipulated here. Sins of omission, the prior generation might have called them. I know we are on later, and we're on safetyfm.com, the live show. We're going to break away for the outro, for the ending credits here, and then we're going to continue with the streamer until we're not continuing with the streamer, with the video. I wanted to have some clarification from last night. One of our listeners, Alicia, out of South Jersey there, had someone that the LinkedIn feed, there was some issues with it. I can't really do anything about it because when I downloaded everything got everything straight, everything looked good. So I don't know, because I upload to 3 other platforms here that I cannot stream to. Brighteon being one, Gab being the other, and Rumble being the third. And everything looked good on there. So, again, the podcast came out good too. So find us on your favorite podcast network. US, I wanted to, so because we could not get a good signal, here's what I wanted to review. I'll read this again. Department of Labor announces rule expanding submission requirements for injury illness data provided by employers in high hazard industries. The U.S. Department of Labor today announced a final rule that will require certain employers in designated high hazard industries to electronically submit injury and illness information that they are already required to keep to the department's OSHA. Final rule takes effect on January 1st, 2024, and now includes the following submission requirements. Basically, the Form 301 Injury and Illness Incident Report has to be submitted and what this is for high hazard industries. However, we define those, and I don't know if they've really had mentioned that. I think you need to keep aware of what's going on, and we'll give updates as appropriate to remind folks of that. U.S. Department of Labor finds a shipping line, marine cargo service, retaliated against seamen who reported safety concerns to U.S. Coast Guard. The company ordered to reinstate the employee and pay more than $700,000 in back wages and damages. I've had some experience in the shipping industry and in maritime industry, and I'll tell you, a lot of these companies are 30 or 40 years behind the times. It's just incredible. The U.S. Department of Labor's OSHA determined the cargo line's termination of seamen violated the Seamen's Protection Act. Now, let's remember, OSHA is in like 20 different whistle laws in this country. Seamen may report concerns directly to the U.S. Coast Guard and are not required to follow any company policy that requires employees to report first to the company. The law protects the rights of seamen aboard U.S. registered vessels or any vessel owned by a U.S. citizen to report safety concerns or violations of maritime laws and to cooperate with federal officials at any time. So protects them, right? OSHA ordered a shipping company to reinstate the seamen and pay $457,000 plus in back wages, interest and compensatory damages, and $2,500 in punitive damages. The company must also revise its policy to not prohibit seamen from contacting the Coast Guard or other federal, state, or local regulatory authority before first notifying the company. Federal law protects the seaman's right to report safety concerns to federal regulatory agencies, a fact every maritime industry employer and vessel owner must know, said OSHA Regional Administrator Eric S. Harvin in Dallas. Failure to recognize these rights can instill a culture of intimidation that can lead to disastrous or deadly consequences. The order underscores our commitment to enforcing whistleblower rights that protect seamen. Investigators learned that seamen reported a variety of safety concerns about a certain vessel. A 50,000-ton, 958-foot container ship to the U.S. Coast Guard in December 2020. The safety concerns included the following. Gear used to release lifeboats did not work properly. On several occasions, a ship's trainee was alone and unsupervised while on ship's watch, including during one incident when a fuel and oil spill occurred that took the crew 2 days to clean and could have created an environmental spill. Crew members possessing and possibly consuming alcohol on board, 2 leaks of the starboard tunnel found during an inspection, and the bilge system caused flooding in cargo holds and needed repair. I think AI is writing this because this is grammar, syntax, that sort of thing. Rusted, corroded, and broken sockets needed and replacement. The company responded by suspending the seamen and then terminating them in March 2021 for making a complaint without notifying the company first. And it goes on and on and on. Bad idea, very costly lesson. I hope they learn their lesson. The Department of Labor announced its rule expanding submission requirements. Oh, we already talked about that. Department of Labor recovers $66,000 in back wages for 20 workers after finding overtime minimum wage violations at 6 auto parts locations. This is an auto parts location that you would know of. All of these violations allegedly happened in South Carolina. And I'm going to report this again, that everyone's innocent until proven guilty. And most of these things get vacated and everything else or reduced, what have you. The U.S. Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division investigators that a parts group company who operates businesses as auto parts stores made illegal deductions from employees' pay at 6 South Carolina locations for store damage, cash register shortages, and uniforms. These deductions caused some workers' pay to fall below the $7.25 an hour federal minimum wage for all hours worked, a Fair Labor Standards violation. They also failed to pay non-exempt salary counter salespeople and delivery drivers overtime for hours for over 40 in a work week. Investigators also learned the employer did not include a non-discretionary sales bonus some employees regulate when calculating correct overtime rates, causing the company to pay overtime premiums at rates lower than required by law. The division recovered $6,322 in back wages for 20 workers. Incredible. Here we have another one. Federal investigators responding to report of employees' severe burns find multiple safety hazards at a Green Bay Santa Max factory. Federal safety investigators responded to a Green Bay rendering plant after an employee suffered severe burns when a pump seal released steam and hot oil as workers tried to clear a blockage in January. Inspectors with OSHA determined that the company failed to develop and implement hazardous energy control procedures. That is 1910-147 lockout tagout when clearing block pumps and piping its at its facility. OSHA also found all this other. So let's just go right to the thing, the citation letter. So this happened in January. Apparently, the closing conference was sometime later because the letter is dated July 19, 2023. Okay, we're scrolling on down. Wow, a lot of front material here. Company name, and we're not going to mention that, and this was in Green Bay. It was a type of violation serious. It was a violation of the general duty clause, where the employer did not furnish employment in the place of employment which were free from recognized hazards. On or about January 27th, the employer did not ensure employees recovered from or protected from severe burn hazards due to potential contact with non-insulated or unguarded metal steam pipes, tallow pipes, and holding tanks in the main room, and the 60,000 and 80,000 kilowatt rooms. The metal pipe, 60K and 80K rooms, whatever those. I imagine they're electrical rooms. The no, those are not electrical. No, sorry, 60K and 80K rooms, whatever those are. The metal pipe and tank temperatures measured above 266.3 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to make a note that the pain threshold is usually 137 degrees. So this is well in excess of that. Among other methods, feasible and acceptable means of abatement include, but are not limited to, insulating hot pipes and tanks with insulating material and or isolating hot pipes and tanks with barrier guards to prevent employee contact, as described in ASTM standard C 105520, 14,733. Citation item 2, serious, 1910.25. The stairs were not at uniform riser heights, $9,800. Citation item 2B. The employer must ensure that stairways and platforms are at least the width of the stair and at least 30 inches in depth as measured in the direction of travel. They must have really pissed somebody off here. $0 on that one. Citation 1, item 3. Unprotected sides and edges is a walking and working surface violation, right? General industry, 4 foot. You need something. All right, $12,278. Citation 1, item 4A was lockout tagout, no procedures, $15,625. Citation 1, item 4B, no procedures, and there, de minimis, 0. Citation 1, item 5A, no equipment guarding. This one was $15,625. Citation 1, item 5B was 0. No guarding again. Citation 1, item 6A, serious violation, no guarding, $9,822. And 6B, no guarding, that was $0. Citation 1, item 7A, conductors entering cutout boxes, cabinets, or fittings shall be protected from abrasion and openings through which conductors shall enter. Conductor's central shall be effectively closed. So exposed wiring, $12,278. Citation 1, item 7B, type of violation serious. Pull boxes, junction boxes, and fittings shall be provided with covers. Right? No fine on that. Now, this is where it gets expensive. Type of violation, repeat serious. The employer must ensure that all places of employment, passageways, storerooms, service rooms, and walking working surfaces are kept in a clean, orderly manner. It's basically housekeeping. $36,828. Citation 2, item 2. This is even more money. Fall protection violations, guardrails, right? Had to be rated for 200 pounds, $61,391. Citation 2, item 3. And as another one, all exposed parts of a horizontal shaft 7 feet or less from the floor or working platform shall be protected by stationary casing. So another guarding issue, $61,000. Let's check on our time here on the Safety FM side of our operation here. So I'm going to play the outro for the Safety FM side, and we're going to stay on with the streaming on the video. Good night, everybody out there in Safety FM land.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Gavin.
Okay, we are back. So I'm putting on that Green Bay, Wisconsin thing onto a friend of mine in Wisconsin. We'll take care of that in a minute. Okay. So, hold on. We're going to go to commercial break while I take care of this.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Pozell with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Pozell with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy.
Okay, we're going to continue here. We are on the the video streaming section here. So we're done with the Safety FM portion here. Right, we got on the air late. We have issues. I tell you what, at the end of this, what I'm going through, we're going to have a hell of a lot of stories. Department of Labor file, but we're getting through it is the point. And by the way, one of our listeners sent me a very inspirational message, and it's much appreciated. This morning, I got a message at 5 o'clock in the morning or so. Just very positive, very uplifting, and I want to thank you for that. If you want health and safety consulting work, training, anything like that, 845-269-5772 or Jim at safetywars.com. No, we're here. We're here to service you. Department of Labor files suit after investigation found a Grand Rapids restaurant owner withheld employees' tips. And I'm not going to mention the name of the restaurant. On July 14th, the Department of Labor filed suit against a certain company and its owner in the U.S. District Court of Western District of Michigan, seeking back wages and liquidated damages for 26 workers. An investigation by the department's Wage and Hour Division found the restaurant used a tip pool illegally and denied employees correct minimum and overtime wages. The department alleges the company owes $75,402 in back wages to 26 workers after investigators found the company violated provisions of the Fair Labor Standards Act when they did the following. These were what is alleged, including the owner, who served as manager along with cooks, dishwashers, and a tip pool customarily used for servers and bartenders, made illegal deductions from servers' pay for uniforms, aprons, name tags, and lost items such as cooking utensils and eating utensils, resulting in employees failing to earn minimum wage. failed to pay servers time and 1/2 their cash wage in periods when the employer claimed a tip credit. The employer should have paid the time and 1/2 the employee's regular hourly rate. Paid cooks a flat rate, denying them overtime for hours over 40 hours in a week. Failed to maintain any payroll records for at least 2 cooks. Failed to pay 1 cook any wages, and did not maintain accurate time records for employees for at least almost 2 years. The suit also seeks an equal amount of liquidated damages for employees and an injunction barring the owner from violating the FLSA in the future. Incredible here. Other news. Large oil spill recorded near the site of Pemex platform blast in the Gulf of Mexico. Petroles Mexicanos is responding to an oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico near the site of a deadly explosion at one of the state-owned company's natural gas platforms. A scientist detected the leak on July 4th, days before the blast off the coast of Mexico's Campeche. Greenpeace and others said in a statement. The spill was about 400 square kilometers earlier, 154 square miles earlier this month, and may have grown to about 2/3 the size of Mexico City. Pemex confirmed the spill in a statement, but said it was far smaller than any groups mentioned. Again, Gulf of Mexico. I don't know. Got to be an investigation here. Find out what the hell happened. I'll say that much. 16-year-old dies in an accident at Mississippi poultry plant. This happened on July 18th. Rest in peace. But again, this is a issue here with younger workers getting taken advantage of, not knowing their rights. A teenage boy is dead after an accident at a poultry plant in Mississippi. The accident occurred around 8 p.m. on July 14th at the I'm not going to mention the company name, at plant in Hattiesburg. According to a press release from the company, an employee conducting sanitation operations died from injuries sustained in the accident. Forest County Deputy Coroner Lisa Clem identified the employee as a 16-year-old Hispanic male from Hattiesburg. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Clem said the coroner's office did not notify the teen's family, but withheld his name to his age and ongoing investigation. However, friends and family of the teenager identified him in social media posts as Duvan Perez. He was a student at the time of his death. The cause of death is pending an autopsy. In the company's press release, the manager expressed condolences on behalf of the company, the teen's family, and friends. Our employees are our most valuable asset, and safety is our number one priority. We strive daily to work as safely as possible and are truly devastated whenever an employee is injured. Officials are looking into how a 16-year-old was able to work at the plant. By federal law, minors are barred from working at meat and poultry plants due to the Department of Labor's declaring types of work jobs as particularly hazardous or detrimental to their health and well-being. The Fair Labor Standards Act is like the fifth story tonight on here, right? Specifically lists sanitation of meat and poultry plant equipment as a hazardous activity off limits to underage workers. It's unknown at this time how the teen obtained the job, and multiple agencies have responded. Again, this is it. We did a program a couple of weeks ago on specifically this. What on underage minors, minors doing stuff that is illegal, right? Plain and simple, illegal. Not allowed to do certain things, and it's usually enforced by the state, but in this case, the federal government got involved here because states are usually more stringent on this stuff than the feds. 11-year-old dies from injury after boat accident on the Intracoastal Waterway. This was yesterday. It's died on Wednesday from a boat accident on the Coastal Waterway, according to Horry County Coroner Patty Bellamy. Olivia Knighton reportedly died at a local hospital due to injuries she sustained in the accident. Bellamy added that the accident happened around 12:15 p.m., just afternoon, near Waterway Avenue in Little River. It's being investigated right now. Why? Okay. Apparently, it was a Guatemalan this just came across, Guatemalan immigrant in that previous accident in the poultry plant. Okay. Someone won Powerball in LA. So, everywhere else it would be $1 billion, but in California, it's the equivalent of winning about $250. But I only joke. This is from abc.org. What is abc.org? Is Associated Builders and Contractors. I want to comment a little bit on this. On July 17th, ABC, and this is their press release here, submitted comments to the U.S. DOL in response to OSHA's request for comments on its efforts to develop a leading indicators resource for usage by employers to improve safety management systems. In their comments, ABC supported and commended OSHA's efforts. Leading indicators are proactive, preventive, and predictive measures used to improve workplace safety. And, okay, now, the comments additionally could encourage OSHA to consider ABC's STEP safety management system, which utilizes 25 key components, including a number of leading indicators to help participants improve workplace safety. Okay, let's think about this. When I first started using behavior-based safety, right, was for a major oil company, and that you've heard of when I was still working in corporate America. And I said, you're collecting all this data, right? Collecting all of this data and everything else. And it's not objective, but you're treating it as objective data. Well, what do you mean, Jim? What do you mean? Well, we know what the difference between objective and subjective is. Objective is no opinion. It's without bias. So, for example, you take a measurement and it's 73 degrees out, right? That's pretty objective. You take a thermometer, 73 degrees. Now, you also have the subjective, where you're out there and you're like, 73 degrees is real hot, but it feels like 90. Then without the benefit of the heat index or anything else, you put down 90 because it looks like that. It's subjective. Maybe a bad example. Subjective is based on the observer's observations, right, on that, rather than objective where it's absolute. So you're out there and you're doing a safety audit. And we talk about this tomorrow a little bit with Gavin Coyle on our interview. So we're there and we collect this data. And he was like, oh, man, I don't want to go out there. I want to collect this data. It's going to make us look bad, so we're going to ignore it. So what do you think happens? Things are biased. You have a bias on those. The things are not what they're supposed to be. So what's my point? They're treating this stuff as scientific when it is the least scientific thing you could ever imagine. And that's where the problem here is. When OSHA is saying we're going to collect this more data, guess what? It's going to be fraudulent. Because the incentive is not to be completely upfront and open because there's going to be penalties. So that's one of the big things. I know it's a good effort, and I tell you what, if everybody was nice and honest and you didn't have incentives where people weren't going to lose their job based on these things, then guess what? Great thing. But that ain't the way things are. Here's another one. This is out of Safety and Health News, right? OSHA proposal, and this did not make the press releases. OSHA is seeking to revive an Obama administration policy that would allow workers to designate someone who does the work for their employer, including someone from a union or other organization, to represent them during an OSHA walk-around inspection. The policy was detailed in a February 2013 letter of interpretation known as a Fairfax memo. The National Federation of Independent Business sued OSHA officials on the grounds that the policy violated the notice and comment requirements of the Administrative Procedures Act of 1946. In 2017, the Trump administration rescinded the policy and NFB dropped its lawsuit. So under OSHA's 1903 subpart 8, a walk-around representative shall be an employee of the employer. However, the regulation also allows an OSHA inspector, also known as a compliance safety and health officer, to make a judgment call on whether a third party can participate in the walk-around. I tell you what, I don't agree with that. A lot of things go on. I've worked on a lot of right, they're saying if in the judgment of the compliance officer and health officer, good cause of been why and accompanied by a third party who's not in employment of an employee of the employer is reasonably necessary to conduct an effective, thorough physical inspection of the workplace. Such third party may accompany the compliance, safety, and health officer during the inspection. The regulation states. Does it really state that? Let me go on over to 1903. It says 1903.8A, a compliance, safety, and health officer may permit an additional employee representative or an additional representative is authorized by the employees to accompany him where he determines that such additional representatives would further aid the inspection. A different employer and employee representative may accompany the compliance officer. Here we have compliance, safety, and health officer shall have the authority to resolve all disputes as to who is the representative authorized by the employer and employees for the purpose of this section. If there is no authorized representative of the employees, or if the compliance, safety, and health officer is unable to determine with reasonable certainty who is such a representative, he shall consult with a reasonable number of employees concerning matters of safety and health in the workplace. Here we go, 1903.8C. And let me go over, I'm going to share this. This is what we're looking at, 1903.8C. The representatives authorized by OSHA shall be an employee or of the employer. However, if in the judgment of the compliance, safety, and health officer, good cause has been shown why accompanied by a third party who is not an employee of the employer, it is reasonably necessary to conduct an effective and thorough inspection of the workplace. Such third party may accompany. Now we have letters of interpretation here, apparently. Let me click on those. All right. Now, I disagree with the regulation here. What the problem is, from my point of view. I've been on jobs where people have just come onto the job site, have bypassed all different types of stuff on the job site, like PPE requirements, and you have no enforcement authority against these folks under this regulation. Site-specific training, workers' comp issues, what happens if they come there and get hurt? Who's going to be responsible for that? It's like OSHA is throwing on liability onto you. And I don't agree with this. If they're an OSHA employee, different story. Obviously, they would be in there. Or if the company gives permission, that's another thing. But for the OSHA compliance officer to make this determination who's appropriate and who's not to come on to there, maybe if they're a government contractor, that we could do that. We also have an issue of trade secrets and other confidential information. If it's for an accident, now we're dealing with HIPAA type situations. I think it's a bad practice for that. And, with all due respect to everybody, but as always, I say obey the law, whatever that is. Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and it's not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Poles at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. Okay, I have here hold on. All right. OSHA 3030. I know it's not on the Safety FM network, but I mentioned this podcast here. It's OSHA 3030. Keller and Heckman partner Manish Rath hosts OSHA 3030, a webinar series that covers OSHA issues in roughly 30 minutes. And I tell you what, this is a pretty good podcast, but they cover this in May 19th with us in some of the older episodes here with this, and with this specifically specifically on this, on what we just discussed. I'm getting a little tired here. Been up since 4:30. All right. Rough. So what I'm going to do is let's scroll through these other things. Anything safety related. Not really. It's all policy stuff. Oh, here you go. U.S. investigating why Delta passengers were kept on a plane in extreme heat. The flight from Las Vegas to Atlanta was stalled at Harry Reid International Airport, leaving passengers sweltering in triple-digit temperatures. U.S. Department of Transportation said Thursday that it was investigating why passengers on a Delta Airlines flight had been left to swelter for hours in triple-digit temperatures while the plane waited on a tarmac in Las Vegas. Again, it's been hotter than hell out there. The ordeal lasted nearly 3 hours, with paramedics boarding the plane to wheel out 3 people who had fallen ill. All right. They said to press your call button if you need medical assistance, she said. Babies are screaming and crying. They're handing out sandwiches through diabetics and going on and on and on. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. I don't know. It happened to me one time on my first plane ride, exactly 40 years and 3 days ago when I flew to Europe. Tornado. I know where this facility is here. Tornado tears through Pfizer's North Carolina site, threatening crucial drug supplies. This was in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. The company estimated that 1/4 of the injectable medications and supplies to U.S. hospitals were made at the Rocky Mount property, including sedatives and anesthesia-related stuff. And they're trying to assess what the hell's going on out there. What they lost. Okay, that's all we got for tonight. And I will do our outro again. Looking forward to seeing you on Monday. I have a pre-recorded program tomorrow, if all goes well.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.